London College of Fashion was set up originally to train young women and girls to go and work in the couture houses in the West End well over 100 years ago. And that ethos around the education of women, the emancipation of women, how can we integrate that into the teaching of our students so they understand the ethics of the industry and the role that that impacts on women's lives. Fashion is so much more than just being a fashionable garment. Because it is so important economically and politically, actually could be used to improve people's lives. So I think that sometimes people tend to think of fashion as maybe looking in quite a narrow way in terms of its research, but actually, again, like the subject itself, it encompasses so many different dimensions and hooks to so many different subject areas. Over the years, we've begun to develop a number of sort of specialist centres. So science is totally integrated.
We are a research centre. We look for ways in which fashion's cultural, material and political elements can really change the ways in which we live in the world. We simultaneously work with students and with businesses so that we can apply some of those ideas around education into the world and understand the reality of what it means. And over the last few years, we've probably worked with about 150 businesses, and we're already seeing a lot of amazing pilot projects that really are helping to shape change.
In this year of 2019, I've been appointed UNHCR Artist in Residence here in Zaatari. It's grown out of projects that we've done over the last 2 years, working particularly with young girls and with other female communities. It's delivered in the first instance a number of different types of training, and those which sit very naturally with the curriculum back at London College of Fashion. To unlock this dependency on NGOs is both one that's economically needed because of the times that we're living through, but is also one that honours them as human beings, which is there's something that dies if you are forever dependent on something else. And so I'm very mindful that I'm working with girls who may end up being some of the most powerful leaders in the world in terms of women. The type of knowledge that they have in having survived what they've survived is what we now need to know about our future.
I appreciate that fashion now is taking on a different, more socially conscious role and understanding all of the backstory to this. So who is making the clothes that we're wearing and under what conditions do they do that? And it's not just about women and girls, it's about the environment and what we can do as conscious consumers and producers. It's what we can do for the rest of the world. But fashion is a gigantic, the equivalent of a global economy. It is huge. And I think we're really at the early stages of understanding the power that it has.
The Digital Anthropology Lab creates new ways of experimenting with technology, from how we make in the digital space to how we experience ourselves and each other in a virtual realm. We work extremely closely with industry. We need to innovate with and for industry as much as they need us. We create provocations. We are the space that allows industry to experiment, to test, to try things. And so there's this really nice relationship between the quest for the new in fashion and culture and the quest for new innovation. How can we use technology for the benefit of environment, people, place, all of these larger cultural and global concerns in a more meaningful and impactful way?
Challenges which concern us in fashion are also of interest to those in other disciplines, including the hard sciences. When we're looking to make new sustainable materials, we're working with engineers. We're working with polymer chemists. When we're looking to create new agricultural processes to support the growth of some of these materials, we're working with agriculturalists. We're working with soil scientists. When we're looking to create the future of fashion retail, we're working with computer scientists, with people working with mixed reality technologies. Fashion is a conversation of disciplines, and that is where our R&D really taps in to make a difference.
we've got a number of projects that we've been developing over the years. So, for example, we've set our manufacturing unit in a women's prison and are, again, helping to train women there and to ensure that they have employment when they leave prison.
We take it as an opportunity to sort of co-create projects with our students, staff, women in prison and the community, and redefine what fashion could mean in today's society. It's about creative problem solving. We work a lot around recycling and upcycling new products. These skills are something that can never ever be taken away from them.
Well, we're in the extraordinarily fortunate position in that we're going from 6 sites to 1 at the heart of the Olympic Park. So we're going to have some amazing neighbours like Sadler's Wells, the BBC, V&A, Smithsonian, as well as other universities like UCL, Loughborough and so on. And that's creating all sorts of opportunities for our students currently, because we're beginning to think, how do we integrate enterprise even more within the college?
If you think about each of those individual partners, well, that's pretty exciting. When you think of all of them together on one site, that is amazing and actually unprecedented in this country and probably elsewhere. So for me, I think that fashion is such a great language with which to communicate with people. And the idea that we can also gain educational and economic advantage from that for those local people is really thrilling.
We know that the way that industries are developing now is very different. The whole micro businesses, the sort of opportunities that are coming from the co-location of different subjects and different disciplines together. And that's really what the Olympic Park is presenting. So in a way, we will be able to create and develop jobs that nobody's even thought about now.
When people think about some of the huge challenges that we have to face in society, they don't often think, oh, fashion can make a contribution, but actually it can.
The power that fashion has to transform lives in low to middle income countries is unprecedented. It is not seen in other industries.
So we've really got an incredible opportunity to change things through fashion.
I guess I can't stress enough how important it is to have women running businesses, female scientists, women creating solutions in whatever field that you want to go into.
Any decision making without the opinion and the effect of women is going to be pointless.
Empowering women is the most important thing for sustainable development, hands down. It cannot be an afterthought. It has to be the very first thing that we do, because there is no sustainable development if more than half of the planet is left behind.
I mean, I will sometimes argue that fashion is the education for the 21st century, because it is creative, because you have to analyse, because you have to be quite entrepreneurial, because you have to understand technology, because you have to understand the cultural context, because you need to understand the way that the latest sort of technology developments are beginning to go. That requires a sort of a breadth but also a depth in your thinking. I think it really is crucial to get more women and girls to understand the significance and also the role that science and technology plays within the creative industries.